All right, our coverage continues now with Kristine Berzina. She's a senior fellow and head of the geopolitics team at the German Marshall Fund of the U.S., and she is also in The Hague. It's good to have you with us. Let me just ask you, for transatlantic relations, is today an exceptionally good day?
It is an amazingly good day. We saw President Trump be very happy about the NATO commitments that are being made, the defense spending. He's perfectly aware of the fact that Spain is not wanting to play along, and yet this is not shaking his commitment to NATO. On the way here, he had questions about, well, the interpretation of Article 5, but that is not the rhetoric that we're seeing here. That is not what we heard from Secretary General Mark Rutte. Instead, it's an affirmation of the European commitment, of the American role on this continent, and even, I'd say, a very gentle stance towards Ukraine, very empathetic to what the Ukrainians are going through, both to President Zelensky, a discussion of the good, very nice meeting that they had. And then there was also a discussion with a journalist from Ukraine that it was in the press conference, and he had a tremendous amount of empathy for her and for her husband who is serving in Ukraine. And so I think this is a very welcome and a big relief for the Europeans who have been waiting to see whether really doubling down on defense spending and showing the fact that it isn't simply a way to an excuse. NATO's not an excuse for not spending money. Did Trump get it? Absolutely, he got it. And this is truly a spectacular moment then for transatlantic relations.
And also, you're saying that we saw a more empathetic U.S. president today. He was asked about Vladimir Putin, and he said that Vladimir Putin, and I'm quoting here, appears to be a misguided person, and he regrets that it's that way. And there was also the question a reporter asked about the head of NATO referring to Donald Trump as daddy, or the daddy. So what did we just see today, in your opinion? I mean, it was almost like a love fest, a lot of flattery, or was that just a lot of bluster we saw today?
There certainly is a lot of choreography and a lot of messaging that is coming from NATO, from Mark Rutte, and from the allies to make sure that Trump doesn't get upset. On the other hand, there's the substance of what they are putting on the table. And it's a big commitment in many countries to try to get to these 5% targets. Many are there already in hard military terms. You look at Poland, you look at the eastern flank, the Baltic countries. 5% is incredibly close. These are serious commitments that are being made. This is not looking for infrastructure spending. But in other countries that are just above 1%, getting to the 5% is going to be significant. And so it's not just the love fest. It isn't the fact that Rutte speaks about Trump with tremendous admiration for his strength and for both what he's been able to do on defense spending across the alliance and also for his decisiveness in Iran. It's also here a tit for tat because of what are the Europeans doing? The Europeans are not simply saying, we like you, and not doing anything. I don't think that would be enough. You can't simply boost Trump's ego and not do anything, because that won't get you quite far enough. Instead, being nice to Trump and also doing what is necessary, what he wants, but what is necessary is really important. And when you look at the text of the communique that came out today, yes, it's very short. The treaty, the North Atlantic Treaty, is also relatively short. But it gets back to the important pieces. It talks about Russia as a long-term threat. Does that mean Russia's not an imminent threat? Not at all. Frankly, the long-term phrasing is in some ways an antidote to the American framing in the past of Russia as an acute threat. An acute threat means it can go away. But what NATO is saying, and the US is signing off on, is that it is a long-term threat. We keep hearing these concerns from Europeans that the United States is about to walk away. A long-term threat from Russia doesn't make that seem very possible.
Kristine Berzina with the German Marshall Fund. We appreciate your insights. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.